All right, let's dissect this shit. Super Bowl LIV, the Kansas City Chiefs, breaking a 50-year freaking drought, 50 years, to snag a victory over those San Francisco 49ers. This game, man, twists and turns like a goddamn pretzel factory.
Yeah, it's wild because it wasn't just some fluke. It really felt like the Chiefs were showing everyone they were going to be a dynasty, especially with Mahomes at the helm.
Okay, let's rewind this thing. February 2nd, 2020, Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Sixth time this place hosted a Super Bowl. But get this, first time ever, two teams rocking red as their main color went head-to-head.
Yeah, true. Kind of a fashion crime for the NFL, if you ask me. But hey, more than just colors clashing, this was a serious showdown. The Chiefs, man, they were hungry, wanted to prove themselves after half a century of coming up short.
And the 49ers.
Oh, those guys, stacked with talent, history of Super Bowl dominance, they were ready to rumble.
So let's break down the teams, huh? The Chiefs, led by Patrick Mahomes, the young hotshot, already an MVP. Dude was basically a walking highlight reel, throwing those no-look passes, making defenders look like they were stuck in mud.
And on the other side, you got Jimmy Garoppolo and his 49ers. Top dog in the NFC, their defense was like a brick wall, man. They steamrolled through the playoffs, crushed the Vikings, shut down Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Their run game was unstoppable.
And the Chiefs, well, their playoff run wasn't exactly a cakewalk. They were down 24 points against the Texans.
Yeah, I remember that.
But those guys, they were escape artists. They pulled off the biggest comeback in franchise history. Then took down Derrick Henry and the Titans. Talk about a confidence booster before the Super Bowl.
It's like they thrived on chaos. Makes their Super Bowl performance even more interesting. That first half was a back-and-forth slugfest, ended in a 10-10 tie. No one could have predicted what was coming next.
Yeah, no one expected the 49ers to choke, that's for damn sure. They started strong in the third. Robbie Gould with a field goal, Raheem Mostert running one in for a touchdown. They were up 20-10 going into the fourth. Honestly, felt like the Chiefs were cooked.
And here's where it gets good. The 49ers, sitting pretty with a lead, started getting a little too comfy. And Mahomes, oh man, he smelled blood. Those last 6 minutes were a quarterbacking masterclass.
It was like watching a horror movie for the 49ers fans. Mahomes connects with Travis Kelce, touchdown. Then it's Damian Williams, another touchdown. The 49ers defense, that brick wall we talked about, they looked lost.
Totally.
And Williams, he wasn't done. He runs in another touchdown, and then, just to rub it in, Kendall Fuller snags an interception, seals the deal. The Chiefs, after 50 years, Super Bowl champ.
50 years, man.
Can you imagine the feeling?
The stadium was going nuts. 50 years of frustration and excitement all let loose.
And who better to lead them to victory than Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP? The guy threw for 286 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he had those 2 interceptions.
Who cares? He also ran for 29 yards and a touchdown. It wasn't just about winning. It was a statement. Yeah. Mahomes was like, I'm here to stay, and I'm changing this game. Damn right. And let's not forget Damian Williams. He was on fire that night. 104 rushing yards and a touchdown, plus 4 catches for 29 yards and another touchdown. He was unstoppable. And speaking of impressive stats, Deebo Samuel, 49ers wide receiver, set a Super Bowl record with 53 rushing yards. Even in a loss, the dude made history.
It's crazy, right? You had this incredible comeback, individual achievements, but there was also this underlying tension.
Forget about the officiating. I know some people were ready to riot over some of those calls.
Yeah, the officiating was definitely under scrutiny after the game. A couple of calls that seemed to go the Chiefs' way, and people were wondering, did those calls actually change the outcome?
It's the Super Bowl, man. There's always going to be some controversy. It's part of the whole thing. But honestly, even with a few questionable calls, the Chiefs earned that win.
Yeah, I agree. But it's interesting that the controversy didn't seem to hurt the viewership. Actually, Super Bowl LIV had a bit of an increase in viewers compared to the year before.
Hey, seriously. I thought Super Bowl LIV had the lowest viewership in like a decade.
It did. But Super Bowl LIV pulled in over 102 million viewers, according to Fox.
Huh. Maybe people were tuning in to see Mahomes work his magic. Or maybe it was that halftime show with J-Lo and Shakira.
Could be both. Speaking of entertainment, the Super Bowl isn't just about the game itself, it's the whole experience. And a big part of that is those commercials.
Dude, Super Bowl commercials are like mini movies. Companies spend a fortune for those 30-second slots. The creativity, the stars they get, it's insane.
Yeah, Fox was charging something like $5 to $5.6 million for a 30-second ad. Sold out months before the game.
Damn, that's more money than I'll ever see. But I get it. Super Bowl viewers are a captive audience. Companies are willing to pay big bucks to get their attention.
Marketing goldmine, right. But beyond the money, those commercials have become part of the Super Bowl culture. They're funny, heartwarming, sometimes even make you think. and they're a nice break from the tension of the game.
For sure. Now let's talk about the stadium itself, Hard Rock Stadium, the place where this crazy game went down. It's got a long history with the Super Bowl. This was their 6th time hosting.
And they went all out with the renovations for this one. Dropped a ton of cash to upgrade everything.
They wanted to make sure it was top-notch for the fans and the players, right?
Yeah, they revamped the seating, added new stuff, made it easier to get around. A total transformation.
And it looked incredible on TV.
Yeah.
But they also focused on sustainability, which is pretty cool.
Right. They went all in on being eco-friendly, solar panels, saving water, using recycled materials. They wanted a stadium that was both impressive and responsible.
So they weren't just thinking about one game, they were thinking about the future. Now, let's circle back to those Chiefs. This win wasn't just about ending a drought. It felt like the start of something bigger, a dynasty maybe.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The way they dominated that last quarter, after being down, it was like a statement. They were announcing themselves as the team to beat.
Mahomes was only 24 when they won this Super Bowl, and he already had an MVP. He's a once-in-a-generation player.
Absolutely. He's got the skills, the leadership, everything to take this team to multiple championships. And with Andy Reid as his coach, a guy known for his offensive genius, they've got a recipe for success.
Plus, they got a crazy talented supporting cast.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, those guys are game changers.
The Chiefs have all the pieces to build a dynasty. This Super Bowl, it might just be the beginning of a long and dominant run.
And that's got to be scary for the rest of the league. Nobody wants to face a team that can score at will with a quarterback who can basically defy physics.
It'll be interesting to see how the Chiefs handle the pressure of being the top dog. Can they stay at this level? Or will the expectations crush them?
Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure, the NFL has changed. The Chiefs are here to stay.
Agreed. And that's what makes the Super Bowl so damn interesting. It wasn't just a game. It was like the changing of the guard, a new era of football.
Now, let's get into the stuff that went down off the field during Super Bowl week. The parties, the events, the whole Miami scene.
You're talking about the underbelly of the Super Bowl, the wild stuff they don't show you on TV. And trust me, with Miami as the backdrop, things get pretty wild.
Miami, with its nightlife, beaches, beautiful people. Now throw the Super Bowl into the mix. It's like one giant, glamorous, slightly crazy party that goes on for a week.
We're talking exclusive clubs, private mansions, yachts the size of small islands, and the guest list, it's like a who's who of Hollywood, music, and sports.
Like imagine Leonardo DiCaprio having a drink with Beyonce while Tom Brady chats up J-Lo by the pool. It's a movie scene, but with a lot more tequila.
And don't forget the after parties, the ones after the official events. That's where the real crazy shit goes down.
Yeah.
Those are legendary parties where stories are made, secrets are shared, and people forget about their inhibitions.
I gotta hear some of these stories, man. Spill it. What kind of wild stuff went down at the Super Bowl LIV after parties?
Look, I can't give you names or specifics, but what happens in Miami stays in Miami for a reason. Imagine athletes letting loose after a long season, celebrities living out their fantasies, and enough alcohol to knock out a small country.
Sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah.
Seriously, though, I bet there are some crazy stories out there, the kind that would make headlines if anyone ever talked.
Absolutely. There are probably enough Super Bowl party stories to fill a library, but most of them stay secret. It's part of the whole mystique.
Like a secret society for the rich and famous, and we're just regular people trying to get a peek behind the curtain.
Exactly. But even if we don't know all the details, we can always use our imaginations, right?
For sure. Now let's switch gears and talk about the legacy of Super Bowl LIV. What do you think this game will be remembered for?
Well, on the surface, it'll be remembered for the Chiefs' crazy comeback win, Mahomes winning MVP, and the start of a potential dynasty.
But I think it's more than that. Super Bowl LIV was a cultural moment, a sign of where things were going in the NFL and in America.
You're right. Mahomes' win as a black quarterback and Sowers being there as a gay woman on the coaching staff, those were big moments in the fight for equality and representation.
It showed that the NFL was finally catching up with the times. They were becoming more inclusive, more like the diverse society we live in.
And it sent a powerful message to young people everywhere that anything is possible, no matter your race, gender, or who you love. It's a message that we need now more than ever. Super Bowl LIV wasn't just a game, it was a symbol of hope, a sign that progress is possible, even in a world that can feel very divided.
Well said. All right, so we've covered a lot here, from the game itself to all the crazy stuff happening off the field. But before we wrap this up, I want to get your final thoughts on what makes Super Bowl LIV so interesting even all these years later.
I'm happy to share. This Super Bowl had it all. The drama, the excitement, the controversy, and most importantly, the cultural impact. It was the big moment. Right. So we talked about the game, the stats, the fucking commercials, but let's get real for a sec. This wasn't just entertainment. Super Bowl LIV, it was a cultural moment, a goddamn shift for the NFL.
You're preaching to the choir, man. We're talking about the third African-American quarterback to ever win the Super Bowl. Mahomes' victory wasn't just a win for the Chiefs, it was a win for representation.
Think about it. Young, black quarterback leading his team to victory after being down by what? Double digits? It shattered stereotypes, sent a powerful message to kids, all over the country.
Hell yeah, it showed them anything is possible. Doesn't matter your race, your background. It's like Obama becoming president, but for football.
And it wasn't just Mahomes. We can't forget about Katie Sowers, offensive assistant coach for the 49ers, first woman and openly gay person to coach in a Super Bowl.
Damn right. Katie Sowers, standing there on the sidelines, coaching in the biggest game of the year, that was a game changer. It showed the world football ain't just a boys' club anymore.
It challenged those old ideas about who belongs in the NFL, opened doors for more diversity, more inclusion.
Yeah, it's a shame it took this long for the NFL to catch up, but hey, better late than never. Now, speaking of changing the game, let's talk about the dynasty potential of these Chiefs.
Right. This win, it felt like the start of something special, not just a one-time thing.
Mahomes was only 24 years old, and he was playing like a seasoned vet. The dude's got ice in his veins, and he's only going to get better.
Don't forget Andy Reid, the brains behind that Chiefs offense. He's been chasing a Super Bowl ring for years, and now that he's got one, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes on a tear.
They've got a crazy amount of talent on both sides of the ball. Kelce, Hill, Matthew, Jones, all stars.
The Chiefs have everything they need to become a dynasty. Coaching, talent, they're hungry. This Super Bowl win was just a taste of what they can do.
And you know what? That scares the shit out of the rest of the league. Nobody wants to face a team that can score like that, with a quarterback who can pull off some of the shit Mahomes does.
It'll be interesting to see how they handle the pressure now that they're the top dogs. Can they keep this up, or will they fold under the pressure?
Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, the NFL has changed. The Chiefs are here to stay.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this Super Bowl so damn compelling. It wasn't just a game, it was the changing of the guard. A new era for football.
All right, let's step back from the game itself for a second. Let's talk about the behind-the-scenes stuff. Super Bowl week, the parties, the events, the whole Miami scene.
You're talking about the underbelly of the Super Bowl, right? All the wild shit they don't show on TV. And trust me, with a place like Miami as the backdrop, things get pretty freaking wild.
Miami, known for its nightlife, beaches, beautiful people. Throw the Super Bowl into that mix. It's like one giant, glamorous, slightly insane party that lasts for a whole week.
Exclusive clubs, mansions, yachts the size of islands. The guest list is basically a who's who of Hollywood, the music industry, and sports stars.
Imagine, like, Leonardo DiCaprio hanging out with Beyonce, Tom Brady chatting up J-Lo by the pool. It's a movie scene, but with a lot more booze.
And then you got the after parties, the ones that happen after the official events are over. That's where the real craziness happens, where all the stories come from. Those are the parties where people let loose and forget about everything else.
Dude, I got to hear some of these stories. What kind of crazy shit went down at those Super Bowl LIV after parties?
Look, I can't give you names or specifics. What happens in Miami stays in Miami. Just imagine a bunch of athletes letting loose after a long season, celebrities doing whatever the hell they want, enough alcohol to knock out a small country.
Sounds like my kind of party. Seriously, though, those parties must have some wild stories, the kind that would cause a media frenzy if anyone ever spilled the beans.
Oh, absolutely. I bet you could fill a whole library with Super Bowl party stories, but most of them will stay secret forever. It's part of what makes them so legendary.
It's like a secret club for the rich and famous.
Yeah.
The rest of us can only imagine what goes on.
Exactly. But even though we don't know all the details, we can use our imaginations, right?
For sure. Now let's shift gears for a minute and talk about the long-term impact of this Super Bowl. What do you think Super Bowl LIV will be remembered for, looking back on it now?
Well, on a basic level, it'll be remembered for that crazy Chiefs comeback, Mahomes winning MVP, and maybe the start of a dynasty. But I think it goes deeper than that. Super Bowl LIV was a moment that showed how things were changing in America, not just in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree with that. You had Mahomes, a young black quarterback winning the biggest game of the year, and Katie Sowers coaching on the sidelines, a gay woman in a traditionally male-dominated world. These were big moments for equality and representation.
It showed that the NFL was starting to change with the times, becoming more inclusive, more representative of everyone.
Yeah, and it sent a powerful message to people everywhere, especially young people, that you can achieve anything, no matter your race, your gender, or who you love.
That's a message we need to hear, especially in today's world. Super Bowl LIV wasn't just a game. It was a sign of hope, a sign that we can make progress, even when things feel divided.
Well said. All right, let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot, from the game to the crazy parties to the cultural impact. But before we go, I want to get your final thoughts on why Super Bowl LIV is still so damn interesting, even years later.
Happy to share my thoughts. This Super Bowl had it all. Drama, excitement, controversy, and that cultural significance we talked about. It was a huge moment.
We're back, ready to wrap up this deep dive. Super Bowl LIV. Man, we've talked about the game, the players, the parties, the cultural stuff. We've covered a shitload of ground.
It's been a wild ride, man, for sure. Even after all this time, something about Super Bowl LIV keeps people talking, makes it more than just another game.
You got that right. It wasn't just a game. It was a moment, a turning point. It showed where the NFL and America were heading. It was like watching history happen right in front of us.
Think about it. Mahomes, young black quarterback, that swagger, that talent, leading his team to a comeback win, nobody expected it.
It was like some shit out of a Hollywood movie, except real life, way higher stakes.
And Katie Sowers standing there, coaching in the Super Bowl, showing everyone that it doesn't matter who you are, you can achieve your dreams.
Powerful message, man. Reached way beyond the football field. The NFL was evolving, becoming more inclusive, more like the world we live in.
And let's not forget the entertainment, right? The Super Bowl is a spectacle. It brings people together.
J-Lo and Shakira at halftime, those $1 million commercials, Super Bowl LIV had it all.
It was a celebration, man.
Yeah.
Football, music, entertainment, American culture, all rolled into one.
And at the center of it all, these two powerhouse teams going at it down to the wire, keeping us on the edge of our seats.
Super Bowl LIV had everything a championship game should have. The drama, the excitement, the controversy, incredible individual performances, and the historical importance. It was a game people will be talking about for years to come. It kicked off a new era in the NFL, an era of inclusivity, talent, and a whole lot of swagger.
And a damn good way to put it. So there you have it, folks, a deep dive into Super Bowl LIV, a game that went beyond sports and became a cultural moment for a country on the verge of change. Expert, you've been an awesome guide through all this Super Bowl craziness.
I learned more than I thought I would about a game I thought I knew everything about.
Glad to be here, man. Always fun to break down these big moments in sports and see what's really going on beneath the surface.
And to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive. We'll be back soon to dive into something else that catches our eye. Until then, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and stay curious. Peace out.